right, so you figured out what you want, you figured out who you're talking to, and now you need to know how to talk to them. This is developing your message, which is obviously one of the most essential parts of your communications with legislative offices. So, I usually suggest to people that when they're developing their message, they think about what I call the SPIT technique. And that's an acronym. I don't mean to spit at your legislators. So since we're in DC, we must have at least one acronym a day. SPIT stands for specific, personal, informative, and timely. So let me go through each. First of all, specific. I'm going to say it again. You have to be specific about what you want. And I know I'm stressing this a lot, but the reason I do it is because even when I stress it, people still come into the office and aren't clear about what they're asking for. So specific about what you want, but also specific about why the person you're talking to would want that. And that's where all that research that you've done about what they're interested comes into play. Now the P is personal, and that's really the crux of what you're doing here in Washington, D.C. You are connecting the policy issues back to actual, real, live people. And that's why you came to D.C., right? Because you are interested in a policy issue that impacts you or your loved ones or your business. And whatever it is, you need to tell that personal story. And let me give you an example. So when I was working on the Hill, we were getting postcards about, yes, it was back in the postcard days before email. We were getting postcards about legislation to make it a federal crime to steal someone's pet from a backyard and sell it to a research facility. So before I go on, if you are for stealing pets and selling them to research facilities, you should stop right here because you're not going to like what happens next. So we got those postcards and I'd stack them up on my desk. And I think, yeah, we should actually co-sponsor this bill, but it was sort of at the bottom of the stack because we had so many other issues to deal with and the postcards weren't as compelling as they could be. Then I got a letter from a woman in our district and her pet had been stolen and she sent a picture. It was a little Labrador Retriever puppy and it was really, really awful. And then the kicker came because she said, I have kids and how am I supposed to tell my kids what happened to the puppy? And I was like, I don't know. It's time to go sponsor that bill. So I had my boss go and co-sponsor that bill. But it was because of that one personalized communication. And so that's the power of the personal story. It's not your job to go and talk about all of the national statistics, what 3 out of 4 Americans think, etc. You're there to talk about the very specific impacts on the district. Now, the I is informative, and you just thought, well, Stephanie, you just told me I don't need to talk about facts and figures and statistics. It is useful to have some that are relevant to that local community. So you might think about how many facilities you have in the district, how many people are impacted by what you're talking about, how many projects you have going on, what the funding is behind those projects. Those need to be very locally based, either district or state-based information and statistics for them. Now finally, the T was for timely. And I can't tell you the number of times people would come into our office and ask for something, but it was after the vote had already happened. So people would say, hey, well, would you vote this way on a particular issue? And I'd say, hey, that happened 2 weeks ago, and I'm sorry, but we voted the other way. And those people would be mad. And I would say, you know, I would really have appreciated this information before the vote because then we could have done something about it. Now, your association is always going to make sure that you've got the timely information. If you're not working with an association, just make sure that you are able to keep track a little bit about what's going on with certain pieces of legislation. One great resource for that is congress.gov. There's also GovTrack, and that's GovTrack, GovTrack. And you can use that to follow specific bills that you're interested in. So that's the SPIT technique: specific, personal, informative, and timely. I'm going to talk next about a message formula you can use to work all of this into a communication.